Hey guys, this is Chodaros, and today's tutorial is on a very special bracelet. This is the Josephine bracelet. It was designed by one of my all-time favorite bling loomers, MS Looms. When I look at her account, I see me. She exactly reminds me of me when I first started blinging. She is one to take a new design and she knows exactly where to add that bling to it, and that's exactly what she's done here. I believe she said that she did base it off the bling ladder. I'm not sure, but it's totally different and better. She added like a half star effect on the outer or the inner, and then there's a border band, and then of course you have your bling nice and neatly placed in the inside. So this one here fits my wrist perfectly, and it is 2 looms long. So exactly 2 looms. So I'm going to show you, because I know sometimes some of the bracelets, if you do 2 looms, it's too long or whatnot. So, I mean, it fits to the T, 2 looms. Okay? So, let's get our supplies ready and let's get started. Okay, so you want a full wrap. You will need 2 looms in this configuration. So we have 4 pin bars and we have a space in between. So you have the first pin bar and the very last pin bar at the same height, and the middle 2 are 1 peg down, and you just make sure that you have that space there in between. Okay. And just to show you, because I know I've always had difficulties setting up the loom, this is how MS Looms set hers up, and it seems to work very well. Okay, you'll need your hook, the C-clip, and as far as the bling, MS Looms has used the pearls with a spacer in between. And because she has beautiful renditions, or the original design on her account, I thought maybe we would just do something different for the tutorial. So I have these glass faceted beads, and they're like very pretty blue. So this is what I'm going to use, and it's made up of, you have your bead, it is 6 millimeter and has a pretty decent size hole, which at any doubt, when I can, I like to bead on clear bands. They slide right on. And this is the spacer, and it is a large hole, hence being a spacer, and it just has these little ripples on it. Oops. So it's silver. Please do check out the description box. I am now posting everything that I make, what I've used, links to find it, so please look out for that. So I have already made up all of my beaded bands, and what we're going to do is we're not putting any beads on the first row across. We're going to put 1 band with just 1 of your beads on it on this first row here. Okay, so every other row will have your formed beaded band. So just make sure that you make 1 band with just 1 bead on it for this first row. Okay, every other row After that, all the way up your loom will be your beaded band like that until you get to this second to the last row in the middle here. This one right here, you're going to add another beaded band, just a single beaded band. So in both places, it's the second to the last, or it's the second one in. Okay, so 2 of these and the rest are normal. Okay, let's see here. So I've had those beads forever and never knew what to do with them. I bought a bracelet and cut them up. But I did find that they match these medieval blue bands. So we're going to use those today. And I'd like to pair that up with the metallic silver. I think that'll really look pretty. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to lay a perimeter. And what I'd like to do is I'd like to just put a band going across here first, and that way when we go to close up our bracelet, we can just grab that band there. Okay, so just one plain band going across, and then you're going to start out to the sides like so, and just as you normally would any type of border perimeter band, it's just one after the other all the way up your loom. And this will be the last band that we loom as usual, but we're going to have multiple bands on top of it, so you might want to consider using a durable band to make sure that it can hold the strength when we go to loop it back to itself with all of those bands on top of it. It's pretty much the only band in this design that should be pretty durable. Okay, I'm going to stop there. I'm going to come down and I'm going to start adding on this side. Excuse me. Medievals have always been one of my favorite bands, but I find that if they're twisted, it's not, it makes a difference in your bracelet. Okay, so I think you guys have the picture. Pretty simple, basic looming. So I will leave you here, and you guys go ahead and finish up adding your excuse me, perimeter bands, and I'll be back in a sec. Okay, so when you reach the end of your loom, and I stopped here at the second to the last peg, you're just going to take a band and go in on both sides. Like that. Okay, and there's no band right now. That's going to go across the last 2 pegs. Okay, make sure all your bands are pushed down and somewhat straight. It's better to straighten them now than it is during when you're done. Sometimes you're stretching on them. Okay, so our next step is to add zigzag bands. So zigzag bands, again, is pretty basic looming, adding bands. We're going to start with the first peg on the first pin bar and go excuse me, diagonally in, and then we're going to go from where we left off back out, and we're just going to do this all the way up both sides of the loom. Okay, and come back down, and I'll start on this side. Again, you're going from the first pin on the last pin bar and taking it diagonally in, and then going back out. Alright, I'm going to let you guys go ahead and finish this off so we can spend more time on looping and adding our beads in that. So go ahead and finish adding your zigzag beads all the way up both sides of your loom, and then we'll meet back here. Okay, I just wanted to point out that, like, I stopped on this pin right here, and we're just going to put one more out to this peg, which I'm sure you understand because we already have a band that's going in that direction there with our perimeter. So that is the extent of the zigzags on both sides. So that's what your loom should look like. Okay, and the next step is super simple as well, which is just adding a single chain up these two center rows. Color, that's probably the only decision you need to make. I've tried different color combos. Let me think here what worked best. Well, obviously what worked best was, in my opinion, and what the original design has. It has the same color as the zigzag bands going all the way up. When I added a different color, I felt like I took away, I thought it would highlight the beads, but it kind of took away from the beads, so that's why I'd like to keep it the same. So I think the one thing that I did do different that looked really good was I added, let's see, so I used the medieval blue on the outside, and then I did for my zigzag, I did one gray, one medieval blue, one gray, so every other. That looked pretty cool. But I am not an expert by any means on color combos. So you guys go ahead and add your 2 single chains going up, and then again we will meet back here in a short moment. Okay, so now we have our 2 single chains going all the way up the 2 center pegs. And now it's time to add our bling. So before we add our first band with Bling I, we're going to make an X. So we're going to go from one of these side pegs diagonal and do the same and make an X like that. So that's your first 2 pins. And then we take that one bead that's on a band, and that's going to be our first one that we place. So right where that X ended, you're just going to add both ends of that band with your bead in the middle on that peg right there. So that's what you should have. That bead falls right in the V. Okay, and from here on out, the whole way up our loom, we take our full beaded band and place it on every peg on the 2 center pin bars. And you want to make sure that all of your bling is in the center of your band. And if you should notice, when you place it on your loom, if it's a little bit off, you can just kind of slide it over. So I think it's pretty easy for you to see now why that gap is placed in the middle of our loom. So we have room to put our string of bling. I think, which I have posted below, that I used 44 of my beads to do 2 looms, because we need 2 for each band. And so the spacer in between, oops, that's my last one. The spacer in between, you will need half that amount because we're only using 1 per band. When in doubt, clear jelly. If I have any chance to use clear, I only bead with clear jelly bands, or just clear bands. And now number 1 is the rhinestones. If I can't add a rhinestone to a clear band, good night. Alright, I think you guys have the picture, but I'm still going to finish with you. I hope this turns out pretty. Because my secret is, and I just started doing this, is that I start my tutorial in this stage of supplies needed and looming it. And when I'm all done with the bracelet, and then I film my intro. That I found a lot easier. Okay, there we go. Okay. So we are all the way at the end of our loom, and we need to add 1 more bling band across. So the one that we need to add there is the other one that we made with just one bead on the band. So second to the last row, one bead on the band. Okay, and then we're going to get 2 bands of the same color that we made our first X, which I used the same color as my X zigzag bands, and we're going to do another X down here. So I'm just going to take a band and go diagonally like that, and then another band diagonally like that. Okay, so this is what your loom should look like. Filled with bling. Okay, so we can now turn our loom around, and we want to add one last band that's just simply going to go across the first 2 pegs in the middle. That will be our cap band. And you can also, if you want, double it. But I prefer just to have it like this. Okie dokie. So the first thing we're going to loom is going to be our X and then our beaded bands. So we're technically going to loom it traditionally, which is everything top band loom, top band loom. So we're going to go inside of this cap band and grab you want to grab the bottom band of that X. Okay, so my X, this band is on top. The band going from the right to the left is on the bottom. I want to grab that band. Take that bottom X band over first. Okay? Then I want to go in this left peg, grab the top band, and I want to give it a little bit of a pull, then put it on this peg here. When I gave it that little pull, it made sure that this little knot looking piece right here put the bands right in the center. So this cross should be right in line with that first beaded band. Okay? Then we're going to go into the second peg here. And our goal is we're going to loom all of the beaded bands up. So underneath the first 2 bands, you'll see the band that has your bead on it. You want to take that band and just loom it forward. And then you want to take and do the same thing on this side, your beaded band, and loom it forward. So you can see what it did right there. It positioned that one bead right in the middle, and it's holding it there snug. So once you put your first bling band once you've moved it forward, that acts as the cap band for every peg on. Okay, so then make sure you go inside, grab your next beaded band, and pull it forward. So inside. I find it easier to just go up one side and then go up the next. So I'm going to do it that way. I think this very well may be the first time I've done 2 looms in a tutorial. I would never create this bracelet on one loom if I didn't have to. If I had one loom, I would certainly do it and add an extension, but and you want to do it on the bottom band as well and take it up to the last peg. Okay, so that's what you should have. Looks kind of odd, but and your bling will be kind of crooked or whatnot, but we still have to do this side, so no biggie. So I've already done the first one here, so you go into the next one that you have, go in, make sure you're always inside, grab that bling band and just move it forward. And also, this is different from, I think MS Loom said that she was inspired off of my bling ladder. I'm not sure, but I know for that one I never did anything with the beaded bands. So this is a first for me as far as looping your beaded band. I usually let mine still and loop the bands around it. Alrighty, so we are finished with all of our beaded bands. So okay, so after we have our last beaded band loomed up, this is when we're going to go ahead and loom this X out. Okay, so again I'm going to go with the bottom band of the X. So my band that's going from here to here is on the top of my X. I want to grab this bottom one, so which means I need to go into this peg. Make sure you're grabbing the correct band, and we want to make sure that we're going above our bead and placing that back on that peg. Okay, so we want this band to be on the top, and the same goes for this one. It's going to want to fall in between, so we want to kind of help it and place it back on this peg up here. Okay, which isn't hard to help it. So this bead is placed exactly the same as our first one when we did the X. It holds it into place right there. Okay, so now we will start our next step, which is looming up our single chains. I'm going to take and push them all down, okay, because we're looping more bands on top of them. So that's what you should have. Of course, it may be all twisted looking like mine, but it's okay, it's the beaded band. Okay, so our next step is to do what's next on our peg. So the next thing on our peg are the two single chains that are going up the middle two pegs. So take your hook, go down in, grab that next band in line. Now this next peg, you actually have to go under that X band that we placed and make sure you're grabbing the correct band, because we have one band that's going out to the sides and whatnot. So you're going underneath that cross, and you can see we have a band going from here to here and here to here. The band that goes straight forward is the first band, is the next band in line. So you just want to make sure you're grabbing that one. And then I'm just going to loom mine all the way up. So the only thing that should be in your way should be the beaded band that we looped up. You have to go under that and grab your single chain. Okay? If you don't grab that one, it very well could fall apart when it's time to take it off your loom. Okay, so we take that also. We have to go through these X bands, which this one is on top. I was just being silly. Okay, so let's come back down. And I think you guys got the picture here. Just go ahead and loom up your single chain on the right, and then I will meet you back here in a minute. Okay, so we have all of our bling bands loomed up and all of our side bands, our single chains, loomed up. I'm just going along and I'm pushing down where we loomed our single chains. Okay, so we have 2 more steps left and then we will be done. So our next step is to go in and loom all of the zigzag bands. All of the zigzag bands need to go to the outside pegs. Okay, so every time you're grabbing a zigzag, you're going to grab it through this center peg here. Now remember, you have your X bands on this first one. So go through all those, grab the top one, and it comes back down here. The next one, is only one left on that peg, out to the left. Okay, so we loom them out. Go back down, you don't have hardly anything to go under. Grab this band, take it back out, and then out. So as long as all of your bands are being loomed to the outer pegs, you're good to go. So each peg should have 2 bands to be loomed out. Just got to be careful in the beginning with the X bands, and at the end we also have those X bands, so you'll have to go under a few more bands. Okay, and then it will be the same on the right side. Go into the second pin, go underneath these X bands, and the top one should be the one coming down to the bottom right, and the last one on the peg should be the next one going up. So we're just going to do the same exact on this side. And the reason we want all of our bands to end up on the outer pegs is because the last step that we need to do is loom up our border, and our border band will attach all of our zigzags, And if you notice, all of the bands on the 2 center pegs have already been loomed. So if we would have put any of our bands on the center pegs, we would have nothing left to hold it back, and then it would fall apart. So I am going to let you guys finish looming up your zigzag, and then we'll meet back here for the final step, which is just looming up our border bands. So go ahead and finish up, and we'll meet back here in a minute. Alrighty, we are getting somewhere. This is what your loom should look like. We have our last and final step to do, which is just simply looming up our border bands. So go into that middle peg to the outer. It's going to be a little loose, but that's just the first band. Like that. And you can let that one just kind of sit. I'm going to go up this side here first because you can see. Remember when I told you use a durable band? You're going through all of those bands. Look at that all twisted. Ooh. I don't like that. But anyway, you have all the bands on these outer pegs that you have to go down in order to get your border band. Your border band will be the last band. Got to make sure you grab that one. If you should happen to grab a different one, your bracelet will fall apart. So this is the glue to a design that will keep your bracelet together. So as you can see, adding bling ain't no thing. Same mashup of so many other designs. So you guys, if you are avid loomers, all of these steps should be very similar to you. Easy for you to loom. I think I twisted that one. Okay, then we take our last one and go to the right center peg, like that. And then we can go to the other side. And we loom up this side. You want to make sure that all your bands on these outer pegs are pushed down so you have enough room to add the border band. Oh, one thing I wanted to share with you is starting to do some collaborations with different loomers. So, Made by Mommy, who has become a nice friend of mine. Very, very, very sweet loomer she is. She has done one of my bracelets, a tutorial for. She has done the Samanji bracelet, and we collaborated in the thought of being able to reach more loomers. So I have a certain fan base. Made by Mommy has a certain fan base. So we thought because that was a pretty simple hook-only design, that if she has a younger fan base, they should be able to pick up on it. And together we could reach more loomers. So I have a new collaboration going on. Be sure to check out Made by Mommy's rendition. Very easy to follow. Okay, there we have it. We just loomed our whole entire bracelet. Okay, that's what it should be looking like. So the entire loom from head to toe. Okay, so the last thing that we're going to do is I added this one band across the bottom, the last two pegs, and that's just simply so we can go into this left center peg, and you want to grab that bottom band there like that, and then you can hold it, put your finger in the middle and hold it, and we want to go into the right center peg and grab that very same bottom band and bring it up, and there we have our closure. So I'm going to put it on my hook like this, and then I'm going to grab my C-clip and clip one, and then clip two. Okay, it's going to be a little snug. Make sure that your C-clip is pointing one direction, and that way those two bands are on both sides. And what I prefer to do, which you can do as you wish, I want to take all of the outer bands off. You can either do the same or you can pull it off. To me, it does not take any time at all to loosen the outer bands, so I'd rather take the time to do this, and that way it relieves some of the tension off of the middle pin bars with the bling on them. Okay, and then turn it, and I'm going to do this side real quick. And if you notice, on my right side, it already came off that center peg. Oops, sorry. Okay, so I have these two up here, and we have these down here. Okay, I'm going to kind of hold this, take it off those two pegs. Most of mine is already off, so that's why I'm doing it from the bottom. And it just should slide right up. Oh, gorgeous. And then you can pull it off your loom because you have your C-clip. Oh, wow. I'm sorry, this is just gorgeous. So if you have any bands like I do here, see this one is kind of up. I want to find where the other side of that band is and kind of level it out. Like that. And you can tell when somebody has put thought and effort into blinging a bracelet, because everyone lays flat. Okay, MS Looms is a fabulous loomer. She is on my top 3 list. She knows what she's doing. She made a great bracelet, and I am so honored that I got to make the tutorial for you. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this tutorial, and I hope you're happy with your bracelet. Be sure to hashtag your renditions on Instagram. Check us out on Facebook, and you got to give MS Looms a follow on Instagram. I'm telling you, if you're into bling, she knows her thing. So again, thanks for joining, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.